Okay, y'all, so I just received this interesting information and I want to talk a little bit about it. Now, we all know that the whole manifestation kick is getting a lot of traction in pop culture, right? We all know that we're creating our own experience, blah, 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 blah. And this is happening through our subconscious mind because the subconscious mind is larger than the conscious mind and it takes up so much energy from our psyche that default settings in our natural set points are going to revert back to whatever is contained in the subconscious mind. So now that we know that, we're going to look at what I talked about before about Adam and Eve, the story in the Bible, that famous story. Adam and Eve are actually metaphorical representations of the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Adam being the masculine aspect, driving force, conscious mind; Eve being the feminine aspect, receptive force, subconscious mind. Now, we do know that there are a lot of scriptures that say that Adam had a first wife, the wife before Eve, who was Lilith. And Lilith is the subconscious mind. It's still feminine energy. Only this exists in the astral realm. It's not the subconscious mind where you're receiving things that present themselves to you as experiences in the 3D based off of that, right? Lilith is different from Eve in the sense that they are both subconscious, but Eve is more receptive to things in the 3D, that subconscious, because it's third dimensional, right? Because remember, they were the first humans, right? So it's 3D based Adam and Eve. Now, Lilith being a fourth dimensional entity, right? She was known as like a demon, right? Not necessarily a human, is the subconscious mind that exists in the 4D, the astral realm. So here's where you manifest from. You manifest from the 4D and then you receive it as an experience in your 3D based on your belief systems. And the reason why they were saying that Lilith was banished from the Garden of Eden is because she wouldn't she wouldn't submit to Adam, which is representation of the third dimensional subconscious, conscious minds, right? So we have 3D, conscious mind, subconscious mind, Adam and Eve. Then we have 4D, and the subconscious mind in 4D is metaphor Lilith, right? And this can be seen as dark energy, and here's why: because Lilith, the fourth dimension, where you actually are creating these things to receive in the 3D via the avenue of the Eve, the third dimensional subconscious mind, to receive it in the physical. The 4D is very different in the way energy works. Energy is more androgynous. So Lilith is known as being a masculine driving force, even though it's a feminine energy, right? It's like a subconscious, it's feminine, but because the fourth dimensional subconscious mind, which is Lilith, did not submit to the third dimensional conscious mind, which is Adam, right? Adam is like, well, this is the way it is in your 3D realm. And Lilith is like, I'm seeing it from an above perspective, motherfucker. I ain't going to submit to you. So Lilith, that energy is actually where you're creating from, and it has to override the Adam so that you can receive whatever you want through the Eve in the 3D. So Lilith energy, because it is androgynous but the subconscious is so much larger, is more of a driving force where you are going to now dominate over your Adam, conscious mind in the 3D, and Eve, subconscious mind in the 3D. You're not doing a goddamn motherfucking thing in the 3D. You're manifesting from the 4D. And so the Lilith energy from the fourth dimensional standpoint, this is what they call like dark feminine energy, because it's assertive in a masculine way, but it's also receptive. So you want to think of like the tarot cards, the magician and the high priestess, right? It's like both of that, and it's Lilith. It's saying, fuck you, Adam and Eve of the 3D realm. We are fucking magicians up here in the 4D. We're not going to submit to something that you believe is true, because we know we're creating it from up here and it's just trickling downward so that you can receive it as experiences based off of your belief systems. So the Adam conscious mind in the 3D, you have beliefs, right? You have a belief that you have a name. You have belief that you are so-and-so at your job position, or you are so-and-so's sibling, or whatever the case, right? That's a thought belief from your conscious mind. And it is putting in different compartments that which is already going on in the subconscious mind. It's like separating it, right? So the subconscious mind has all of these built up energetic programs in it that the conscious mind is now calling different names and different things. The Lilith aspect, which is not 3D, which is not submitting to either of those, is saying we are serving the conscious mind and the subconscious mind that which we know to be true from a higher perspective. So it's not necessarily a demonic energy, but if we go to the archaic definition of demon, it actually means a genius. And someone who is doing like demonic things, or you know what I mean, someone like calls someone a witch or whatever the fuck, right? Why are they calling someone a witch in like a dark sense? Because they're able to manipulate the 3D in a way which is not seen by the two physical eyes and cannot be interpreted by the conscious mind of the 3D, the atom, or the subconscious mind of the 3D, which is the Eve. So it looks like you're maneuvering things from a dark perspective, because remember, dark just simply means something that is hidden or not seen. It doesn't mean that it's dark, like it's bad, but you know, the word dark in that context, especially in reference to demons, can have a pretty deplorable connotation to it. So when we look at the Lilith aspect, we want to picture the 4D realm, and this is like the extra large subconscious mind. So it's masculine and feminine, it's androgynous energy, but it's able to shapeshift and behave like both, which is why someone who is operating from a fourth dimensional vantage point might appear indeed like a witch or a magician or something, because they're moving things around, and the individuals in the 3D who are only looking at that from that vantage point are like, whoa, how the fuck did you do that? How did you pull that off? Because they didn't see anything, because they're not attuned to that level of consciousness. You follow? So the Lilithian energy is where we're manifesting from, and we're going to be assertive, and we are not going to submit to Adam, the 3D conscious mind, and we are not going to submit to Eve, the 3D subconscious mind. We're going to look at it like we're both, motherfucker. We're conscious and subconscious, but only we're seeing it from a 4D level, not a 3D level. So all of the thought processes and energy and feelings and whatever that you have in your subconscious in your 3D is being compartmentalized by your conscious mind of the 3D, but the 4D overrides it because it's both, because it's intangible. It's both masculine and feminine principles. It's both conscious and subconscious minds, and it overrides the fucking atom. Do you see what I'm saying? So you have a conscious thought. Let's say you have a belief system that you've been trying to change, and your conscious mind compartmentalizes it, like whatever you have going on that you know either works for you or doesn't, and that energy is just being rolled around in your subconscious, and your subconscious in the 3D is gravitating those 3D experiences to you. So when we look at that from a 4D perspective, from the Lilith perspective, it's dark energy because it's overriding the conscious mind in a way which the conscious mind from a third dimensional vantage point cannot interpret or understand. That's why it looks like fucking black magic or whatever the fuck, witchcraft, right? That's why they call it that. It's not because it's evil, right, with that stereotype. It's simply because what you're doing from a 4D level cannot be interpreted by anything on the 3D until it's filtered down into a 3D experience. So the 3D is going to filter these experiences, right? Let's say you always have luck at the casino, or you feel like you have a hindrance in such and such area, right? You're interpreting it that, but you're not really sure where the energy came from, because it seems like it's a fucking merry-go-round. It keeps occurring, but no one maybe not no one, but like most motherfuckers don't understand that they're creating it from the place of darkness, which is a 4D astral realm, which is overriding all of that. Do you see what I'm saying? So you from the 4D, okay, if you have a lot, like if you haven't dealt with your demons as they speak, right? A lot of people, they have these energetic blockages in terms of like what people call demons. I just made another video on that. They have these programs running around in them. Therefore, that fourth dimensional energy is still creating and overriding the conscious and subconscious mind. That's why you can repeat some shit all day long to yourself in your conscious mind, but it's not overriding because you're manifesting from the above perspective, from a place you do not see. So that's why they say make the, what is that saying? Make the unknown known or some shit, right? So everything is being created from the fourth dimension, and the fourth dimension, like I said, has everything going on in it. It's just all of the energy that is overriding your conscious systems, right? To produce experiences from the subconscious to gravitate into tangible experiences or circumstances or people. So when they say deal with your demons, what they actually mean is that if you don't get your 4D in alignment, then yes, that Lilith energy can present itself as a demon in the 3D, but it's simply because you let something override your conscious mind. That's why you can repeat something to yourself and it can still feel hollow, like it didn't set in, and then you still experience the same negative shit. Why? Because the fear from that is still too great, because you just didn't look at it and you didn't realize that you were manifesting from that place of fear, from that place of darkness. But that's where everything is coming from. And that is going to override your conscious 3D thoughts and your subconscious 3D beliefs every time. So there's something that's going on. This is how it works. The 4D has everything in it. It has good shit, bad shit, whatever, right? You're manifesting from there. You're not manifesting from the 3D. The 3D is just showing you what you have going on in the 4D. So the 4D, if left unchecked, can look like a scary place, not because it is, but because you just chose not to look at it. Or some motherfuckers, you know, they block that out, or they're not even tuned into that aspect of themselves, and they're wondering, like, they're like thinking, oh boy, I changed my thoughts. And then it's like, yeah, you changed your thoughts, but guess what? The Lilith energy from the 4D is not submitting to fucking Adam, your conscious mind, to the 3D. It's still left running amok, so to speak, right? So what you want to do is you want to get your 4D straight, and you want to work that magic in the 3D, because you know that you're creating from there. You're not creating from anything third dimensional. It might seem like you are, but you're not. It's all coming from the energy of the unseen, of the darkness. So when we call in Lucifer, right, another demon, the light bearer, he's simply illuminating what is going on in the darkness. And for a lot of motherfuckers, not all, but a lot of motherfuckers, they either refuse to look at it, or they can't believe that they actually had that going on within them. And that's why this demonic energy can seem scary, but it's not that there's an actual demon there. It's an aspect of you that you don't see consciously, and it's creating shit from your energy in resonance with it, and it's presenting to you like nightmare scenarios in the 3D. So if you take a look in the darkness with that, you have to look at it. You can't look at things as negative or positive, right? Because the 3D Earth matrix is designed to keep motherfuckers entrapped in it. So it wants to give a negative meaning to everything. So when you look through the darkness and, you know, you see what is going on within you, you know, everyone's gonna be different. That's gonna be totally on the individual if they choose to even look there. Like if they took the time to actually realize that no one was ever doing anything to them. It was simply things that they had going on that they were in fear of from a fourth dimensional vantage point. And the fear doesn't give a shit how many affirmations you say with your conscious mind. The fear is going to override it. It's not going to listen to Adam. It's not going to fucking do that. Lilith ain't listening to Adam. Lilith ain't submitting to Adam, because Lilith knows that Adam is third dimensional. So like, I'ma submit to you, motherfucker. I'm a higher consciousness. I see shit that you don't, right? Because 4D, what they say is like, you know, the dimension of like space and time. It goes beyond anything in the 3D. So it might look like your physical manifestations are coming from 3D, but they're not. And if you take a look at shit that you perceive as negative that you have going on within your own psyche, I promise you, you're going to be able to like slay your demons, as they say, because you are now looking at it not from the scope of fear, but like, what does this really mean? What is this telling me, right? Because it's going to override it. So if you want to live your dream life, you cannot have nightmare shit and be scared of fucking demons and Lilith and Lucifer, right? You can't be doing that, because you're just gonna attract more of that, because that energy is overriding your conscious mind every time. It's not submitting to anything in the 3D. It's actually dictating what's going on in the 3D, but most motherfuckers don't realize it, and they want to blame it on an outside source, when it's really just, this is the energy that motherfuckers have going on within them, as the majority of an individual's energy and awareness is unseen. It's dark. You don't see it. You're like, huh? What's going on in there, right? That's what they call it, the dark energy. So you have to keep in mind that this is all metaphors of energy. There are no demons unless you make it so. And demons can be your friend as well if you make it so. And typically, motherfuckers are so afraid to look at their own shadow, or they blocked it out, or they suppressed this shit, that's why their life looks like it's running amok. Let's say someone had, this is a perfect example, right? Like, there's a motherfucker and they have a stable job and they're getting a paycheck every week or whatever the fuck, and then, you know, they're happily married, however, right? The white picket fence shit, right? That they program motherfuckers to want, right? They're living that, but guess what? They're in their energy, they're in shambles, and their 3D starts to unravel. And even though like they're going through the motions in the 3D, right? Their energy from a fourth dimensional perspective is jacked up. And so it's creating mayhem in their 3D life, and they don't know why, because they're doing everything right on the 3D level with their conscious mind, the atom, and the subconscious mind, the Eve. They think that, yeah, this is all good, but they don't get that shit is being overridden by what they have going on within them. That's what they say, when you deal with your demons, you deal with your own darkness, and nothing will ever bother you again in 3D. But you cannot be afraid to look at something that is perceived to be scary, because the only perception of scary is coming from a third dimensional vantage point. It's not coming from the 4D. The 4D is neutral. Remember, Lilith is androgynous, masculine and feminine. It's asserting its power and receiving information to guide what is going on with the 3D, the subconscious, and the conscious minds of the 3D. So the Lilith energy from the 4D, that's where your intuition comes from, right? You don't know how it happened. It's intangible. You don't see it. It just came out of nowhere. Turn this way instead of that way. You find a $100 bill on the floor, and you're happy as a pig and shit. So when this shit happens, that's the receptive energy of the Lilith, the 4D astral realm, energetic frequency. And your assertion, this is how you manifest. When you consciously manifest, you take that driving masculine energy and you do not submit to Adam, the conscious mind. You say, yeah, you have all these thoughts running around, which are compartmentalizing what's going on at the fucking Eve, the subconscious mind, but you don't understand that we're not going to listen to you. We don't give a shit, right? So it's receptive in a way where it's allowing you that intuition to move, even though it doesn't really make logical sense, because remember, that's 4D. It's in the dark. You can't see it. And it's also manipulating your reality that you can't see it. So it looks like there are chess pieces being moved around the board, but the hand that is guiding them around is invisible. And that's the Lilith energy. That's the 4D energy. So what type of energy do you have going on from a fourth dimensional standpoint? Have you looked at your demons? Do you think demons are scary? Do you have a fucking belief system about demons? Might be some good questions to ask yourself, because I promise you, if you take a look at the darkness in yourself, things that you don't necessarily see with your conscious mind or sense with your subconscious mind, that shit is is going to be clear as day to you. You're going to look in the darkness. You're going to see, but I was thinking good thoughts. I was living this life and blah, blah, blah. And like you were going through the motions, but you weren't really living because there was still some fear that attracted that situation to you. So what are you afraid of? That's the question you should ask yourself. Like, think of every area of your life, whether it's going well or not. What is your biggest fear in that area? Take a look at that shit, and I promise you will disappear. That's all you have to do. Because the 3D doesn't mean shit. It's on autopilot. It's being filtered down from the 4D. So the more the 4D is scary to you, which is more your own mind is scary to you, because remember, fear isn't even a real thing. Things that you're afraid of, odds are now, if you're looking at this video, you're pretty fucking content, because you wouldn't just be sitting here 20 minutes into the goddamn video and chilling. So what's going on? Nothing. So what are you afraid of? Ain't nothing there. You're sitting watching a fucking video. We're hanging out, homie. Real MVP you. So that's what I had to say about that. And that's just, gracias Lilith, Lilith and Luca, they always come through for me. So that's what they want me to let you know. Like, don't look at things from, especially like the Bible. The Bible, if you are studying the Bible, look at it from a more metaphorical standpoint and look at it as though demons are geniuses and they're magicians and they're showing you what you need to look at. And they're also maneuvering all of the chess pieces in the 3D. It's going to override Adam every fucking time, but you cannot be afraid to look at it. And then once you do this, then you exist more consciously in the fourth dimension than you do the 3D, and you're gonna start fucking laughing. You're gonna start laughing at the 3D. You're gonna be like, motherfucker, you're my bitch. You're subservient to me. I fucking dictate this shit, right? Like, you bow to no one or no thing in the 3D because you know who the fuck you are. And it can look like you're performing magic, right? Because motherfuckers ain't seeing how you doing it because you ain't lifting a fucking finger in the 3D. You're just sitting back and you're letting the 4D just control it because it was anyways. Just now you're in conscious control of it, right? So you opened up that conscious mind to the 4D and you're able to fucking live your dreams. And motherfuckers like, yo, but what did you do to attain this? And you're like, magic, motherfucker. And in a sense, you're right, because it's not being physically seen. So it looks like magic to motherfuckers who are looking at it from a lower dimensional scope of perception. That's what I got for you.